Hello there and welcome to a new video. If I had a nickel for every time that the government decided to redesign and revamp and relaunch a genealogy website, I'd have 2 nickels. Sure, it's not much, but it's strange it happened twice, right? Today we're going to be looking at the new redesign for the Irish Genealogy website. Now, a lot of viewing the images bits hasn't changed, but this is just going to be a brief run through, particularly focusing on the new search engine that now operates on the site, as well as what information you can find in the results and how you can eventually find the images. So, hope you enjoy the video and let's get to it. So, now when you visit the Irish Genealogy website, you are greeted by this new clean looking interface, and you can tell it's now been modernized, and we are greeted by the search form. Now, most of this video is going to be talking about this new search form because, as you can see, there's no kind of church records and civil records sections here now, because that's all been amalgamated into one search form. So you got the civil records, you got the church records, or you can search all records, which is a new function. So I'm going to stick with civil for the moment, but I will visit church in a second. So I'm going to look for a civil record, and I'm going to look for the marriage of my great-grandparents John Loftus and Ella Noon. So I'm going to type in John Loftus, and the civil registration district is Swinford. But say it wasn't necessarily Swinford, if you just clicked on it and just scroll down the little list, you can see that there are some districts, but it would autofill as you type. So if I did D, you got these. If I did S, I got Santry, Scariff, all of those. And then I've got Swinford. So it auto-populates based on the first letter that you type in. The year range, so I know it was 1911, so I'm just going to filter it down, and I choose an event type, so I know I'm looking for a marriage, but I'm going to help myself a little more. Under the advanced options, if I know the specific date and if it's actually transcribed on the Irish Genealogy website, where this is the only way it will work, for marriages it is, but for births and deaths it might not be. Mother's surname, birth records only, and age at death, burial and death records only. Then you have this field, which is other recorded persons. Now, if you have ever used the advanced search form on the old Irish Genealogy website, you'll remember that there was a field to stick in the second party's name, as they'd phrase it, which means if you were looking for a spouse, you would be able to type in the name of the person and it would spit up. However, where you see spouse and you see first name and then last name, I know how my grandmother's name was spelled, and it was spelled Noon, Noone. So when I press search, and oh yeah, I forgot, it gets me to do this. You can still do the enter initials or enter name, and then press search, and it gives me John Loftus and Ella Noon. So if I click into a result, I've got party 1, which is John Loftus, party 2, Ella Noon. So it's the same thing that was there, and then the district in the registration area is Swinford, and then you can view record images. So you can just open it up, and it is the exact same image. However, the URL has changed, and I will talk about that in a little bit. But on the result page, you have a new search button, so it'll take you down here and you got the search form again. However, if I replicate what I just did, and I'm going to do civil records again, I'm going to look for John, I'm going to look in Swinford, I'm going to do the range, marriage. Now, I had tried this earlier where I typed in Noon into the last name, and for some reason it was not working at all. So if I'd stuck Noon in the first name field and press search, it still gives me John Loftus and Ella Noon, the same one that I had. So It seems to be a bit finicky at the moment, but as far as I'm aware, it had only launched today, which is the 25th of February, so things may change given time, but it seems to be sticking in a maiden surname for either field will work. Next thing we'll look at is the civil births. So I will do the dot here for civil records. I'm going to look for children that my great-grandparents John and Ellen had. So I'm going to look for any child with the surname Loftus. I'm looking for a birth. I know they got married in 1911, and I know my granduncle Jimmy was the last child to be born in 1923. But I'm just going to leave that blank because I know it'll stop at 1923. Under the advanced options, I can choose a day and a month if I know it. But because I'm looking for many children at once, this won't really work. But the mother's surname, I will stick in noon and then press search. And it gives me the 6 children out of the 8 that I know have a birth certificate. So I got Mary, I got James, Luke, Michael, John, and Kathleen. And as before, you click onto a result and it gives you the date of birth. If you're searching for that, it'll work. Group registration ID, it gives the district, the sex, and the birth surname, and then you can view the record images as before. For the church records, if we click on church records, we then get the options here. So it filters down to marriage, baptism, burial, and then we can pick a name. So we'll use the example of John O'Sullivan. Let's say I don't have a particular area, so I'm just going to do baptism. And when I press search, it gives me the area and the parish and the date of baptism and the name. So when I click onto it, it still gives me the father's name, the mother's name, and the sponsors' names. As you can see, I can still do the filtering as I had, and this is still the same for the civil records as well, but because I've done quite precise searches, that's why I didn't really get to show this off. So I have Kerry, Cork and Ross, Dublin, Roman Catholic, Church of Ireland, Kerry, Church of Ireland, Carlow, Church of Ireland, and I can choose by time period if I'm looking for a certain period of time. Along the top, the little menus that you have here, you got the search records, the record sources, the genealogical research, the FAQ, and a nice little way to contact people. A nice little way to contact Irish Genealogy should you need to. Along record sources, I've got civil records help, I've got church records help, which when I go into the civil records help, like the church records, it gives you a little jot down and it gives you like a little background on the records, and it gives you just a nice little primer to the topic. And then under genealogical research, you've got some other options where it might give you some handy links to other sites that you might wish to check out as well. Another thing which still remains is the Soundex search. So say for example I'm searching for the name Holohan, I can go down and when I press search it gives me Thomas Holohan, but for example I can go to the last page, and this is just an example, I can see I got the other spellings of Holohan showing up. The last thing I wanted to point out was the civil registration indexes that Irish Genealogy has. So as we know, death returns for image-wise from 1864 to 1870 are not online yet, and I don't know when they will be. But say for instance I want to go looking for someone who might be in those indexes. So for example, I had a John Loftus who I later proved isn't one of mine, but I didn't know. So I just did John Loftus between 1864 and 1870, and it doesn't matter whether it's John Loftus, John Sullivan, Mary Smith, whatever name it is. This is going to be the same thing across the board. So if I'm looking for deaths in this period of time and I press search, currently all I'm given is a name, a year, and a district. I'm not given any age, and when I click into a result, I get no reference information if I wanted to try and order this certificate. The only way I can get the reference information is by going under any site that has the Irish Civil Registration indexes, which includes Find My Past, Ancestry, Family Search, and My Heritage, and getting the reference information from there. Now, when I talked about the URL, I talked about how they had changed. Now, currently, the old URLs do redirect to the new format. However, if you do happen to have any issues trying to get to the new version from an old link, you can see what's been taken out of the old URL. So there's no more civil records there's no subdomain here. And these two parts of the path have been changed as well. Meaning if you change the /church records /images to /files /civil, you will then be redirected to the new link, if the redirect doesn't already happen. And this works for civil records. All in all, it's a new site, or at least a newly designed one for us to play with. So what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it could improve? Where do you think it could change? What do you like about it? Personally, I miss the fact that I can't search by 100 records anymore. The top that you can look for at a time on a results page is 50, so you can do it either 10, 20, or 50. No more 100. So I would also like it if the civil registration index information was there. However, again, I'm filming this on the day that this change has been made, so which is the 25th of February. Things may develop as time goes on, and I'm sure it will. So stay tuned, and we'll see where this goes. See you next time.